The following announcement's been paid for by the Savvo and Stubby Show.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. It's me, STUBB. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty man himself, Stubby. And welcome to another edition of the Savvo and Stubby Show. This week we are coming to you from SNS Studios in Livermore, California. And I am joined, of course, by my colleague. He is the enigmatic, charismatic, Greek mystique, Savvo, the Savior. Man, it feels like I just had you on the show yesterday.
I know, huh? It's well, we're here today for the Savvo and Stubby show. Let's make that clear. So, but yeah, it's good to be back. Let's get this show on the road.
And you know,
yeah, paper.
It's funny because this is like the first time in a long time that we've had back-to-back pay-per-views in the same weekend.
Yeah, huh?
So we've got NXT TakeOver in Chicago, and then we also have Backlash, which I believe also is in Chicago, if I'm correct. I could be completely wrong. I didn't do the research. Not bad.
I don't know. I don't know 100% if it is, but I'm assuming it is because it's a weekend thing. Seems like.
So before we jump right into this, I apologize for those that are listening to this on Saturday. I just wasn't feeling it yesterday to do the show. Talk about putting my heart into it. Yeah, I know we're absent Big Joe this week. We are testing out different formats of the show, and thought we'd try something new. Anything that happened over the last 24 hours that you want to talk about, Savvo?
Last 24 hours? You know what? I don't think anything's happened. Have you heard anything happen?
I actually posted something on the Savvo and Stubby Show Facebook page. I didn't read it because it looks like it might be a spoiler slash, I guess, more of a focus on a specific wrestler. I'm assuming Jinder Mahal's getting that guaranteed push for the title, which me personally, I'm actually looking forward to. Do you think, Savvo, with knowing the history of Jinder Mahal from when he was in three-man band, seeing that he was in squash matches over the last couple weeks prior to getting the number one contendership, do you think he can be our next WWE champion and have a legitimate run?
Not only do I think he can be, I think he will be. As far as his run, it'll probably be, it'll probably be a good one. They need I don't know, we got, with Randy there, Orton taking the title, and it just seems like, it's been done too many times and they need something fresh.
It sounds like you hit the same glory hole Steven hit yesterday or on the NXT show.
You might be right about that.
All right, so because we're going to go in order and because today is, I said Friday, I'm not going to kayfabe it. Today is Saturday. We are shooting this right before NXT TakeOver. And because we're just 2-3 hours out, we'll jump into the NXT TakeOver card first. And Savvo, I will give you the honors of naming off each match. We'll go one match at a time, no particular order. You now having at least 3 episodes of NXT under your belt, because I've tried to convince you to come on the show multiple times and then pulled you from the show. You kind of have an idea what these characters are about. So I'll let you go ahead and pick and choose at your leisure how we start this off.
Okay, well, we have a tag team match, DIY versus the Authors of Pain. I'm not too familiar with DIY. Authors of Pain is the team that Paul Ellering manages, so I've seen them a few times. Do you know, is there a stipulation to the match?
This is your ladder match. We've got Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, a.k.a. Johnny Wrestling, These guys have been tag teams for a long, long time. They are great as individuals, but they are also just as strong as a duo. They are fighting against the Authors of Pain, which is Akam and Razor. No. Yes. I think of the Ninja Turtles every time I say Razor's name. I don't know enough about Paul Ellering. Before I go in more detail about the match, why don't you give people a little bit of a history of who Paul Ellering is?
Paul Ellering was the manager of the Road Warriors back in the NWA days. He was like a part-time wrestler too. He's got a great physique. I mean, back in the day, I don't know so much now, but he still seems like he's pretty, in shape. He was a great manager. He was up there with like J.J. Dillon and Bobby Heenan, that kind of, a heel type manager. He kind of disappeared for a while, and now it seems like he's, resurfaced in NXT. And I believe he has a daughter wrestling too now.
You look at Authors of Pain, and they are your stereotypical what Vince McMahon is looking for in a tag team during the late 90s, early 2000s. They are one of those powerhouse teams that are just a big build, the physicality. But the problem is they just brought another tag team in called Heavy Machinery, which kind of has the same kind of feel to them. Completely different gimmick, completely different look, but it's just the whole I'm bigger than you and I'm going to squash you type thing. So I think the stipulation match for this being a ladder match is more or less giving DIY a legitimate run for the titles, along with giving them the ability to say they won the belts from Authors of Pain without losing credibility to Authors of Pain.
I would have to agree with you on that one, considering, as you said, it's a ladder match. So, I mean, you get a 320-pound guy, whatever they weigh, trying to get up that ladder. It's going to take them a while, especially if they're been going at it for a while. So for this one, I see DIY taking the victory.
What else do we have on the card?
We have a three-way match with women for the women's title. We have Asuka versus Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. I want to go with Nikki Cross, so I'm going to go with Nikki Cross. I don't know. I just see something special there.
You can't argue that logic. I think that's great. I want to go with Nikki Cross, so I'm going to go with Nikki Cross. Pretty straightforward. You should go into booking for WWE.
Well, no, what I'm saying is because, Asuka's pretty badass, But it's like, I was going to say, if I'm going with Asuka, but if anybody else wins, I'm going with Nikki Cross. But I don't know, that's not really fair.
I'm going to go with you on this one. I agree. Nikki Cross is going to get the push. I think this is going to elevate Sanity. At the same time, I don't think this does any harm to Asuka because you still have that build between her and Ember Moon. Plus, we have the women's tournament that's coming up, and I hear that there is a Japanese wrestler that is making her way to NXT that will be a very good competitor for Asuka.
On another note, that means Asuka's streak is going to be broken. So I don't know if they plan on continuing the streak. I mean, like I said, I just started watching NXT about 3 weeks ago. So anyway, I'm gonna go with Nikki Cross. I just like the character a lot.
On the other side to this, though, Ruby Riott can play the wild card because the fact that we have both these competitors in programs easily. I mean, you can easily put Asuka right back with Ember Moon. You can also put Nikki Cross against anybody in the women's division right now because Sandy is supposed to be the anarchist, no rules, attacks anybody at their leisure. So don't be surprised if Ruby Riott squeaks a victory out of here because she's kind of been under the radar. And they have kind of put a little bit more of a focus on her during video packages from previous weeks. What's next on the card?
Another match we have on TakeOver is Eric Young versus Roderick Strong. Wow, this one's a tough one. I want to go Eric Young because I like Eric Young from his Impact TNA days, whatever you want to call it. but it seems like Roderick is getting push. I guess I'm going to have to go Roderick Strong.
And I don't know enough about Roderick Strong. I know Big Joe talked about him last week on the Savvo and Stubby show. Gave us a very long, interesting story about the history of Roderick Strong and how his brother met him and he met him. But from what I hear from interviews, Roderick Strong was just recently on Jim Ross's podcast, and it comes with a lot of high praise when Jim Ross gives you credit for something, knowing that he's been in the business for as long as he has, and he's been around the talent that he has, and says that Roderick Strong is probably one of the best, if not the best, talents in the business right now when it comes to working and when it comes to actually selling a match.
Do you think JR gives them a bottle of barbecue sauce when they come on the show?
I think JR asks everybody to promote his barbecue sauce. I think he's probably got that stuff backstocked because he can't sell it. He's actually, on his podcast, he's actually a little pissed off because his podcast handle is still JR Barbecue or whatever. So he's got a podcast that's about wrestling, and his like Twitter account is barbecue sauce. So yeah. The guy hasn't figured out how to change his tag, I guess. But like you said, Eric Young, I have never been a TNA guy. We did go to an Impact event, which I had to say, for it not being on the same level as WWE, and we'll put it on that house show level, they did that event like it was a main event type thing. The level of, I guess you could say, customer service. They were all about the fans, pictures, autographs. I mean, you got to get up close and personal with these guys. And from what I saw from Eric Young, in this company, he's great, and I think he's a great asset for WWE.
I was just going to say, yeah, the fan interaction at the TNA show was just incredible. I mean, not each one, but a lot of the superstars came out and autographed and took some pictures, with the exception of Mickey James. But it was a great experience.
How many house shows can you say that you've ever gone to, whether it be Indies or WWE itself, that allow you to go inside the ring and take a picture? I mean, that was a pretty cool experience. Not only do you get to take a picture with them, but we actually got to take a picture with Jeff Hardy, get an autograph, and we got a limited edition. Was it like a Matchbox car or some kind of race car? Yeah,
it was a race car that Jeff Hardy himself painted, did all the detailing on it. Would we get it for like $80 or something?
Yeah, was this before? I can't remember the paint job. Was this before or after all the drugs? Because was it psychedelic? I can't remember.
It was during. Remember him backstage?
I remember smelling Rob Van Dam from a distance.
Do you remember what the picture looked like?
Yeah, he looked like he was a little doped up.
Big time.
Yeah, I'm not
big
gonna lie. But yeah, Eric Young versus Roderick Strong. This is a tricky one because Eric Young is one of those glorified jobbers right now, but he's got the credibility that he can afford to lose matches, but he doesn't lose matches outright. He loses close contests. But Roderick Strong needs kind of a push right now. Theoretically, he already is WWE main event talent, but they have to build that character. So I'm going with Roderick Strong on this one. What about yourself?
Yeah, I said Roderick Strong. The next match we have Hideo Itami versus Bobby Roode for the NXT title. This is another tough one. I want to go Roode, but I don't see Roode coming to the main roster anytime soon, only because they just, did the what do you call it? What do you call it? The stirrup? I always freaking forget that.
What was that again? What was that again?
What do they call what they just did? The stirrup? What is it? The
shake-up?
Shake-up. I always want to say stirrup or scramble, but it's neither one. Anyway, my bad. The shake-up. I don't see Roode going to the main roster at this point because they just had the scramble. No, there I go again. The shake-up.
Honestly, You can put any name in there at this point. I mean, anything that starts with an S works. The superstar
Right?
shit, the superstar shit show. You can call it whatever you want. The result's the same.
Oh shit! Feel like an idiot. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Hideo Itami because of the fact that he's knocked Rude out twice from GTS, and I don't know if Rude just overplayed it, but he was like knocked out for like minutes, not just 1 minute, but just like 2 or 3 or more, and it's just like I don't know. I don't see him pulling off the victory, so I'm going to Hideo.
I'm gonna step outside the fanboy, which, like you said, the obvious choice would be Hideo, and I'm gonna go the psychology and where the money could be at on this. I see the potential of Bobby Roode getting the victory after getting 2 GTSs. GTOs. He's getting a car. Getting 2 GTSs in following or previous weeks. I think he's going to win dirty, but he's going to retain the title, and we're going to see potentially a rematch at NXT, the taping on Wednesday, and Hideo take the title.
You find it ironic that every time you refer to Hideo, you get the GTS wrong. But the ironic part is that's Punk's move, and I don't think you've gotten that part wrong when it comes to Punk.
I guess in my eyes, nobody else does that move. But yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of cool if Hideo, all of a sudden a car comes out and runs over Rude. That'd be a little bit different. It's something that you'd see in the Attitude Era, I'm sure. And I can't remember. Is that all we had on the card, or do we still have? Oh, we have. Is McIntyre in a match? That's everybody.
I looked it up the other day, and it only listed 4 matches.
Man.
So unless I saw the whole thing. That's all it listed that when I looked it up.
Hey, you can't hear it on your side, but when you lean back, your mic cuts out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
when you fade backwards a little bit, I don't know if it's the tone in your voice or if it's just, I don't know. Something's going on.
Okay.
All right, so with that said, I'm pretty sure there's one more match on there. I don't have my notes in front of me. So if anyone listening sees a match that we didn't cover, feel free to add that in the comments to the Savvo and Stubby Show at facebook.com/Savvo and Stubby. So without further ado, we will jump into WWE Backlash SmackDown Live's pay-per-view, also in the same state. And just like NXT TakeOver, Savvo, I will give you the honors to start the name of the card. Do we have a pre-show lined up for this?
The kickoff match that they're having for Backlash is Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English. I'm going with Ty Dillinger. Aiden English, it's like he's trying to, stand on his own 2 feet, but I don't think he's quite ready yet. So yeah, I'm going with Ty Dillinger.
And I understand for Ty, this is kind of like your introductory to the main roster. But there's no kind of investment to this match. I mean, Aiden English is no consequence, whether it's a win or a loss. And I understand it's a pre-show, it's a wrestling event, it's a glorified SmackDown Live that's happening for the pre-show. And of course, I picked Ty Dillinger because they're going to shine this boy up. They're going to give him jobber matches against people that are not exactly jobbers. They're main roster talent. But this is just going to heighten his skills and heighten his credibility. I haven't seen them do much with Ty Dillinger, other than a couple of these like lower level matches over the last couple of weeks. But I hear he's doing pretty decent on the live shows.
I have to agree with you on that as far as Ty Dillinger taking the victory. Aiden English, I mean, he's been around on the main roster a bit longer, but it's like him losing isn't going to change anything for him. So the advantage, I'm going with Ty Dillinger, sorry. But go ahead. I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
You keep leaning back and your microphone's cutting out again. You got to stay.
Okay.
With Aiden English, I think they kind of ran out of ideas since the Vaudevillains broke up. They don't really have a character build for him. So he's kind of just floating on the roster, kind of the way that R-Truth does before he was with Goldust. He was kind of just a filler.
Yeah, that's true. They probably don't have plans for him as of yet. But my question was that I forgot. It came back to me was, what's the story with the Drifter?
I think WWE is trying to get to the point where, for those that don't watch NXT, they're really intrigued by a guy who's walking in and out of promos, playing the same tune. But in NXT, he really had no value. He had the same gimmick as he does now in on the main roster. I haven't really seen him wrestle, so I can't say. But he's like your cookie cutter wrestler from the one time that I did see him fight. But I don't know what his role is, or they may even have him interfere Ty Dillinger's match, simply to build a feud or a card for them to.
Okay, moving on to the next match, in no particular order, we have the Usos versus Breezango for the Tag Team Championships.
Oh, I'm sure you're happy about this one. I'll let you go and give your take, and then I'll give my take.
Okay. Usos, I like their heel turn. I like what they've done. Now, as you recall, I used to not like them at all when they were faces. I like them now as heels. Breezango, the gimmick at times is a little cheesy, but they've been able to show their skills in the ring, which to me is pretty, they seem pretty good. So it should be a good match. It's just, to me, the whole Breezango gimmick cheesiness gets to me sometimes. But I think it's going to be a close call, but I think the Usos are gonna take it. And
I know you're not going to like this, but from a psychological or a psychology standpoint to this, they are doing the Fandango and Tyler Breeze, the Fashion Popo, as the same way they did New Day. It was the entertainment value that got them over. Yeah, they have some decent in-ring skills, but the corniness and the fact that they can probably sell product easily is going to be the reason why I see Fandango and Tyler Breeze getting the win here. The Usos, however, like you said, I'm actually really impressed by the fact they turned heel. They fit better in this role where they look like little thugs. I don't know how much of that is their true persona and how much of that is acting. But I like the fact that they feed off each other when they do their promos, where Jimmy is the kind of like the hype man in the background while Jay does all the work.
Yeah.
But like you said, when they were babyface, it was too many bright colors. It was too much kid-based stuff. And a lot of your fans now that truly watch the product are your older, what's it called? Whenever you have a certain age group.
Demographic.
There you go. It's your older demographic. Now, see, that's why you're my right-hand man there, because I was there on the spot again where I might have to go back and edit that. So you pick the Usos. I'm going with the Fashion Popo, the Breezango. I'm not a fan of their music. I think that they should hype that up. Now that they're like this whole police, like fashion police thing, they should do the whole sirens and the like them mouthing it. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. I think that'd be great.
See, it's stuff like that annoys me. I mean, I can totally see Breezango getting a push and getting the titles and everything. It can go either way, but I'm just sticking with the Usos. Did you see the when they did their little scene I don't know, was it last week or the week before, when they were in England, and he said, cheerio, and he says, oh, no thanks, I already had breakfast.
Yeah, I saw that, and I know it's going to piss you off, but throughout the show I'm going to do wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. All right, so what's our next matchup?
It's okay coming from you. You're not getting paid to do it. They're getting paid and doing it. Next matchup,
I'm gonna make it a soundbite of me going wee woo wee woo wee woo.
Can you make your voice a little bit higher pitched?
Wee woo wee woo. That's so fucking annoying. Even I'm sick of it already.
About 15 seconds of that, I'm going to come out swinging.
There you go.
Okay, next matchup we have Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin.
This is right. This is where I put that soundbite. Who cares?
I like him. You know what? Okay, I guess I can't really say that because they're not on the same show, but I think well, you know how Ambrose has the Intercontinental title? It's like, why don't they put a title on Sammy, like something, not the main title, but, well, in this case, it'd be the United States, but it's like, get Ambrose the fuck out of there. I'm tired of his ass.
Give Sami Zayn the old butterfly belt from the Divas division. Give him something. I'm fine with that. Make him feel special.
No, but he deserves a push.
Yeah, in front of a car.
Oh, come on.
He looks like he's hailing a cab anyway, so it's a perfect fit. But go ahead and give me your take on this match, who you pick, and why you think it's even worth watching.
I gotta go Corbin on this one, only because, again, Sammy's lost so many times and still continues to lose. He's great. I like him. I like Sammy. I mean, yeah, his sometimes when somebody's a face, when they're too much of a face, it gets kind of annoying. I felt that way back when.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Back when Flair was going against Steamboat, and Steamboat would come out with his kid. It's like, I don't want to see your fucking kid and your family. Leave that for backstage.
Hey, Goldberg did it. Goldberg brought his son out every fucking opportunity he can get.
Yeah, but he made it. Goldberg, it was kind of different because the kid. The kid's a little bit older. Steamboat's kid was like 2. It's just like the kid doesn't even fucking know what's going on right now. Anyway, I'm going with Baron Corbin. The last few weeks he's been, like in the main events and stuff. What was it, with AJ and somebody else, like a 3-way. That was a pretty good match. I think he's starting to, get his push. So I'm going with Baron.
See, my problem with Baron Corbin is they really seemed like they were hot for this guy, like a couple months back. And he's one of those wrestlers, kind of like Randy Orton, where he looks better when he's wrestling with someone that's above him. AJ Styles, for example, John Cena, for example. When they're a higher level, they kind of push him to a higher level. But when you got someone like Randy Orton that's wrestling someone that's equal or below them, it's a shitty match. If you look at Orton versus Dean Ambrose, you look at Orton and Bray Wyatt, Orton can't carry somebody. And I feel like Baron Corbin has that potential to be one of those upper guys. He's got the look, he's got the height. The guy is a big dude, and he's in great shape. As long as he keeps a shirt on, he's in great shape. But I don't think Sammy's going to be the one to escalate the match.
I can agree with what you're saying to an extent. The part I disagree with is the Orton part. Orton, I think he can carry the match, but I think right now his storyline, ever since him and Bray got, he turned on Bray or whatever, it hasn't been the same. So I think it either they're pushing him too much and we just don't realize it or something, but I think he's capable of carrying a match, but I'm just not interested in him lately anymore, as his storyline is progressing. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
I'm going to put you on the spot, and then I'll immediately take the spotlight off you just in case I really do put you on the spot and there's not dead air. Can you tell me a match that Randy Orton has had against a competitor that is not above him talent-wise that was a good match? All right, so who do we have lined up for the next match?
Again, not in any order. Nakamura versus Ziggler.
I'm excited about this match simply because a majority of the WWE universe has not seen Nakamura. I just farted.
Like, what the hell was that?
That was classy.
Sounded
Okay.
like a grizzly bear growling or something. Cat purring.
But we have Nakamura, who the majority of like the WWE universe has not seen him wrestle. I don't know how much they're going to dial down his abilities, but if anybody can sell some of the vicious attacks that he throws, Dolph Ziggler is the guy.
I think most people haven't seen Nakamura because his entrance is so fucking long that people change the channel.
Oh, wow, bitter much?
No, you know me in the entrances. It's like, just come out to the ring, man. Everybody already appreciates what you do, and you don't have to freaking all these hand gestures and bending over backwards like a fucking pretzel and shit. And not. I mean, I understand if you're going to do that at a main event, but you don't need to do it on fucking SmackDown every week.
On the plus side for you, though, so you don't have to miss any actual wrestling matches, that's the time to get up to use the bathroom or grab a snack when you know that Nakamura is coming out, because you got a good 15 minutes before the match starts.
Right, exactly.
But on this one, obviously, they're going to put Nakamura over. I can't see Dolph getting the better side of this, unless they plan on stretching this feud over the next couple months. On the psychology side of that, I can see Dolph Ziggler getting the win. But on the pure booking aspect of selling T-shirts and pushing a product and pushing a wrestler, I see Nakamura with the victory.
I definitely see Nakamura with the victory also. But they could always do, like, Ziggler cheats and, pulls the trunks, whatever type thing, and, goes for the roll-up. But, yeah, under normal circumstances, I'm going with Nakamura. He's on fire. Everybody knows that. Ziggler,
wee woo, wee woo.
Ziggler's on the downward spiral. But, yeah, Nakamura's going to take it.
All right.
Another match we have. I'm sorry, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay, another match we have is a women's match. It's a 6-way match with Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky versus Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella with Ellsworth at ringside.
I have absolutely no take on this because I am not interested in the slightest. And this is where that whole women's wrestling thing is dead for me when it comes to WWE's main brand. They don't have the names in place to actually keep my interest. I don't know what's on the line here. I don't like the fact that they have the group called the Welcoming Committee. It just seems like a crappy concept altogether and a kind of a mashup match to get everybody on the card. So that's my take on it. I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. Nothing's going to change. We're still going to have the same kind of welcoming committee on Raw or on SmackDown, and I hope it ends soon.
As far as this match, I see the welcoming committee taking the win, which will cause Charlotte to turn heel, attacking Becky or Naomi. Next up, we have AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. And it is a tough one. I would want AJ to win. I'm going to say Owens retains.
I agree with you. Owens going to keep it simply because we've got another month before the next pay-per-view, and Chris Jericho should be back by then, which gives us the rematch or the what's that called? Whenever you have a rubber match, you got the rubber match between the two guys. I don't know how long his tour dates are exactly, but I know WWE is going to the Download Festival overseas, and so is Jericho's tour, coincidentally. So expect Jericho to be there. Although I would like to see AJ win also, but Kevin Owens' gimmick as, the U.S. champion, like being Mr. USA or whatever, I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't NXT going to be at that Download Festival or something?
Correct.
I didn't know Jericho was going to be back so soon, no? Or he should be coming back. The tour going to end soon?
Yeah, according to his tour dates, he's got about a month and a half of tour dates, but they're all literally back to back to back to back days. So he's doing like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, and then doing like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they've mashed all their dates together, and it almost falls in line with where WWE is at on their scheduling too. So don't be surprised if even Chris Jericho interferes in the match some way.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
I mean, that would be an interesting storyline to have Jericho, who everyone believes is on tour, which he is, but maybe they lined up their schedule with the touring schedule with WWE, and Jericho's in Chicago right now. He does a quick run-in, interferes the match, keeps the fuel on the fire for the feud, and disappears for 2 or 3 weeks and comes back the next pay-per-view.
Those questions and many more will be answered on Sunday at Backlash.
Very, very professional. What else we got?
Last match is our main event, I'm assuming. Randy Orton against Jinder Mahal for the Universal Championship.
All right, so before we do this one, we have to take a quick break, a word from our sponsor, and we will wrap this bad boy up. Savvo and Stubby here from the Savvo and Stubby Show, wanting to thank you for listening to our podcast. Hopefully you're listening to our podcast through Spreaker. If not, you can go to the Google Play or the Apple Store, download the Spreaker app, click on the Savvo and Stubby Show link. Boom.
We're in your pocket.
Boom.
We're in your ear.
The Savvo and Stubby Show. You can also check us out on YouTube by going to youtube.com/Savvo and Stubby Show, or check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Savvo and Stubby Show. Savvo and Stubby out. I love when we add our own commercials into our own show, especially when it's our own voices. We don't have to pay anybody else. That's pretty cool. All right, so we were talking about the main event, which is Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. There is a lot to be said about this match. There's a lot of angles this match can go, and there's a lot that could happen over the next following weeks based on this match. So, Savvo, I'll let you go with your take on it, and then I will give my feedback.
Straight up, without giving it much thought, I'm going Mahal's going to take the title. Why? Because of the wrestling industry in India. They want to promote that, and what better way to do it than by putting Mahal as the champ? What do you think?
Well, with that said, are you thinking we're going to have a clean victory? Is Jinder Mahal going to get a clean pin? Are we going to get some outside interference?
I think the Singh brothers are going to help out. But yeah, there'll probably be interference most likely.
I think would be a really cool angle, and again, here's that whole Stubby conspiracy thing, is that you have the Singh brothers attempt to interfere. Referee kicks them out from being... they ban him from ringside, and we get the Wyatt family to interfere against Orton. You know, because Harper and Rowan, even though they're not associated with Bray anymore, never said that they were not tied to him in any way, shape, or form. In fact, Rowan still looks like he kind of carries that Wyatt-esque angle.
Well, yeah, he's got that mask all the time, too.
And I would think it would be pretty neat to see, you know, Rowan interfere. Now we got a new program with Randy Orton and Eric Rowan, and you got Jinder Mahal with the title, and Eric Rowan can interfere the next time Randy gets a rematch too. So, as you can tell, I picked Jinder Mahal to win this, and like you said, I second the fact that WWE is really trying to push the India angle. I'll talk more about it after your take. I know you have some more input you want to say.
I came up with the next catchphrase. The Maharaja. Drink it in, man.
You just took two catchphrases and just mashed them together.
Right.
That's like me saying the Maharaja. It's true. It's damn true.
There you go.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Right, see?
Or how about the Maharaja? Braun.
Yeah.
Or the Maharaja, I got the whole world in his hands. Or, even better, the Maharaja. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Yeah, that was. Hey, well, how are you gonna put "wee woo" on a T-shirt?
That's easy. I mean, it's easy to say too. Wee woo. Can you imagine? We get the people in the audience chanting "wee woo, wee woo." No. So anyway, I still believe Jinder Mahal has the means to carry this title. Jinder was actually just recently on Chris Jericho's podcast, and Jinder Mahal doing promos or interviews on Chris Jericho was very, very bland. And the guy is really, really, really trying to push the fact that his physique is from diet, not from steroids. But he sounds like he's in the state of mind this time around to be your next WWE champion, and I can actually see that happening.
Yeah, I read a couple things I saw online. Like, I guess he wasn't as serious about his career back, doing the 3-man band and all that. And now he's, the more serious he got, now, the more opportunities he's gotten.
Well, can you blame him? Who really wants to be part of 3-man band? And it's funny because he talked about that in his podcast, or in the podcast. There was mention that Heath Slater was going to have a band, supposedly, that they were putting together. And it's funny because Jinder Mahal was backstage, and he's like, "Oh God, please tell me it's not me." And you know how they kind of get their emails and kind of like a script of what they're going to be doing over the next couple weeks. He showed up at one of the Monday Night Raws for the live taping or whatever, and right before it was time for the show to go on the air, Mark Carrano found him and said, "You're going to be you and Drew McIntyre are going to be running in to help out Heath Slater." And Jinder's like, "Fuck, I'm part of the band." So. And for those that haven't seen it, they actually did a pretty funny promo that you can find on YouTube. It was behind the music with the 3-man band, which actually didn't air on WWE television. But with that said, I think that covers both the NXT TakeOver pay-per-view and the SmackDown pay-per-view. Before we wrap up the show, do you see any fallouts that could be happening over Tuesday night on SmackDown? What we can expect on television?
I don't like to think that far ahead.
Oh, come on, man. That's what we do. We do a podcast. So we've believed that Kevin Owens is going to retain, so there's no title change there. We believe that Randy Orton's going to lose, so Jinder Mahal is going to be the new face of SmackDown. Which the guy really sells that heel angle. I love the look. It's perfect. Very typical, but I love it nonetheless. What other did we cover the tag team titles?
Yes.
No, we didn't.
Usos against Breezango.
Oh, wait, I'm thinking Raw. That's right. Because I'm thinking the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro for the 17,000th time. But you're right, that's Raw. Any last thoughts, feelings? I know we talked about, as we were wrapping up the NXT show on Wednesday, or Thursday, however you want to look at it, kayfabe or no kayfabe. What was the last... Do you remember what we said we'd carry on, topic-wise?
No, what was it?
I don't... Oh, yeah, that's why I'm asking. I know we were talking about something to do with WWE. And I think it was something to do with possibly Bray Wyatt. I don't remember. But we said that if you are listening in, check us out on the Savvo and Savvo Show. We'll continue the conversation. We need to go to the phones and get our fans to tell us what we talked about, because I don't remember.
I think we got to give out a phone number in that case.
All right. Well, you know what? It's been golden, Savvo. I love doing the show with you. Thank you for being on the NXT Next Up program. Glad you got your space suit and flew back to this universe. Anything you want to say to the fans? Oh, wait, that's right. I forgot. We have a new segment. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, grab a 6-pack of cold ones. We are going to crack them one by one. This is the Savvo 6-pack. These are Savvo's top 6 topics that he wants to talk about, whether they be good, whether they be bad. Let's crack it open.
Okay, what's up, everybody? This is Savvo here, and we are doing the Savvo 6-pack. And the way we're going to do this is we bring up a topic, and it's either a damage for good or a damage for bad. Okay, so we know Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champion. We know that he's got a limited schedule. Question is, does this hurt the product? Does it hurt the title? Damage or damage? I'm going with damage.
You say damage or damage?
I'm going with damage because you have 30 days to defend the title. See, it's always been 30 days to defend the title if you get hurt. But, okay, he's not hurt, but he's going well, since what, WrestleMania? Or what do you think?
I say it's damage and damage. I say damage on the point that it takes the focus off the Universal Championship long enough for them to make the Intercontinental title relevant. You need to get that title off of Dean Ambrose unless you're going to turn him heel, because right now there is no relevancy for that title unless Miz takes it. On the damage side, like you said, it's been way too long, but they did the same thing with Randy Orton, where you don't have to defend your title since WrestleMania. There's no validity to these titles. I mean, what's the point of a match if the belt means absolutely nothing? So I've got the Bam damage. I guess your hybrid. Can I throw a wee woo in that one?
Sure, why not?
So are we on to the next one?
Yeah, okay. Obviously, everybody's seen the beating that Roman Reigns has taken from Braun Strowman, whether it was on the stretcher or getting his chest pounded in by...
You didn't give me time to do the sound effect for the second can, because we're opening up the second of the 6-pack. So let's sit back and that's very Wetback and Cracker Power Hour-esque right there. All right, number 2.
Roman Reigns, considering the beating he's gotten from Braun Strowman, whether it was on the getting pushed off the dock on the stretcher, or getting the staircase slammed on his chest, does it make him look better or worse, or does it hurt the product that he defeats Finn Balor?
That is going to be damage. And I say damage because the fans still do not see Roman Reigns as a fan favorite. He's not being played as a heel or a babyface. He's still getting the boos. And it's clear cut that Finn Balor is the fan favorite. So you got a guy, unless they're hyping Roman Reigns up to be such a monster on Braun Strowman level that he can take an ass whooping and still beat a guy who's smaller than him. So logically, the smaller size kind of fits. But you've got Finn Balor, who's been out for so long due to injury, coming back and not getting any momentum in his favor. He's getting squashed by the main guy. So I say damage. What about you?
I would have to say damage because Roman Reigns, whether he wins or loses, it's not really going to affect him that much. Finn Balor, I mean, is he ready to be, is he injury free? Has he healed completely? Well, by seeing him in the ring, I would say yes. So I'm saying that yes, it's damage. It's damaging Finn Balor, and we're supposed to believe that Roman Reigns, even though he was spitting up blood and all that, he's okay now. He's better 2 weeks later.
And if you really want to know the status of Finn Balor, go to the WWE Network. It's only $9.99 a month. Go to the WWE 24 section, and they have a special on one Finn Balor. The 24 special tells you walks you through the injury that Finn Balor sustained against Seth Rollins. One of many that people have sustained from Seth Rollins. He's not the architect. He's more of like the demolition. He seems to be breaking down wrestlers. That should be a tagline. You heard it here first, Stubby. Man. I every time I speak, it's like money. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Somebody is getting.
Zack Ryder's got the woo woo woo. Stubby's got the wee woo wee woo.
Something like that. Sounds pretty similar, yeah.
All right, cracking open number 3.
Boop, 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 boop. Okay. With superstars being released, no matter what the reason, is it a damage thing or is it a damage thing that they end up back on the main roster a year or two later?
Personally, I see it 100% Bamage with a B, capital B, Bamage. You've got the likes of both Drew Galloway and Jinder Mahal, who were in very shitty gimmicks as part of 3-man band. They were able to step outside the company, kind of get a realistic approach to their characters. Jinder Mahal was more on the indie scene where you really didn't hear from him. However, Drew McIntyre found his way over to Impact Wrestling. I know you love hearing Impact Wrestling, Savvo, as Mr. Drew Galloway, and he was a star over there. And Vince realized that he shit the bed on that one and immediately signed them back. By doing that, you recycle the character. You give the sheep that goldfish memory, where you can kind of just scrub it clean, and now that's a new person. Good example would be the fact that they have Sonya Deville, who was Daria in NXT, and it wasn't that very long ago. And you got Patrick Clark, who now is going to be the Velveteen Dream. We're just supposed to forget that these guys ever existed. So you got Bamage on my side. What about you, Savvo?
I'm going with a Bamage. Why? Because it gives them a chance to reinvent themselves when they come back. You know, like 3-man band. You know, the gimmick obviously failed. Well, I wasn't a fan of it. I don't know anybody who really was, but it gives them the chance to reinvent themselves. And not only that, but they come back a little bit hungrier. There's a little bit more of an edge to them because, you know, this time they're more serious about it.
3-man band actually had potential, but it's kind of hard. It's a hard sell when you've got an Indian guy, a Scotsman, and a white guy who's supposed to be in a band together, and you never see them with instruments. But what I think happened, and this is a straight shoot on my part, I think WWE rebranded Heath Slater with Rhino, with the whole kids angle. They realized just how strong his character actually was when they took him outside that stupid 3-man band gimmick and gave him a better opportunity to shine. Even though it's still a gimmick, he had a chance to shine. They probably backtracked on their steps, realized that, what about the other two that we cut? Maybe they have that capabilities too. And they brought him back. I'm a little surprised that Jinder Mahal went right back to the main roster. However, Galloway or McIntyre went to NXT. Now, do I think it's going to hinder Jinder? We don't want to hinder Jinder. Hinder Jinder. Jinder seems to thrive a little bit better, I think, because he seems a little more versatile than McIntyre. Because if you watch McIntyre on NXT, he's looked the same the last 3 weeks. But that's just my take. Number 4. Wee woo, wee woo.
Number 4 is regarding pay-per-view events. Do you think it's a damage or a damage that they're coming out with a freaking pay-per-view called Great Balls of Fire when they have freaking Super Brawl, they have War Games, they have ECW ones they can incorporate? Where the hell does Great Balls of Fire come into any of this?
This is a very hesitant damage, only because we don't know exactly what the storyline is for a pay-per-view to be called Great Balls of Fire. it's damaging because that's such a corny catchphrase. It's such a corny line to have someone like Paul Heyman try to push through in a promo when he's being serious about Brock Lesnar. But it's something new. Maybe they just don't have faith in their writing department, and this is something that Vince came up with, and Vince is like, oh, that's money. I can't do Vince. That was a horrible Vince impersonation. We're just going to scrub that clean by going, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. But total damage at this point. That may change over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because maybe we see something that legitimately makes it so that the name fits. Kind of like Fastlane. Fastlane sounds stupid. Roadblock sounded stupid. But they kind of fit into what the next pay-per-view was going to be type thing. And maybe Great Balls of Fire has something to do with 4th of July. I don't know.
Great American Bash.
Right, but maybe this was WWE's originality wanting to use their budget on fireworks and then cut somebody from the roster just so that they can justify the means. Your take?
Yeah. I'm going damage. I I understand WCW is a thing of the past, and so is ECW, but you have, events like Super Brawl or War Games or Great American Bash, for that matter. I would try to incorporate that. Because it's, they're known pay-per-views, events. I would just go with that. I don't know. I don't see the logic in going to Great Balls of Fire, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they have in store for us.
I'm
going damage.
I've got a nice little buzz going here. We're on number 5.
Number 5.
I've been drunk several times, and I don't think I've ever had hiccups. I don't really understand the hiccup part of that.
Okay, number 5. Ambrose being Intercontinental Champion.
It's more like Tourette's that you have. Motherfucking shit! Damn. Pussy part.
Ambrose being Intercontinental Champion. Is that a damage or is that a damage? Now, I understand for some reason Ambrose has a lot of fans. I understand that, but I don't think he puts on great matches. Roman Reigns, I think Roman Reigns' matches are better than Dean Ambrose, and to get him out of the title, Universal title picture, I'd put the Intercontinental on Reigns.
Well, you heard my take when we talked about Dean Ambrose's match against Baron Corbin. It's damage for me. It's been damaged for a while. Dean, he had a hell of a match this last SmackDown, but he has to have matches like that every single time going forward for him to have any validity. Right now, I believe he's a hindrance to the title, unless they turn him heel, because he doesn't have a strong enough character. His character itself is great, but him, personality-wise, is not a strong enough character to make Dean relevant. So I'm going to have to say damage with a capital D.
Yep, same here.
All right.
You want to pop open that last one?
Let's go for it.
Okay, the last one we got here for the Savvo 6-pack is... Now, keep in mind, I thought of this in the way I viewed things previously. It could change in the future. So, my thing is, the people coming from NXT to the main roster, is it too soon for them to come to the main roster? And don't you think that if they do come to the main roster, they still need to work their way up somewhat? Some people come over and automatically, a month later they're getting a title shot. I don't think that's... For me, it was always much more interesting when it was like a competition. You had to compete. You had to work your way up. I've always enjoyed that storyline like that, whether they're doing a tournament type thing for a number one contender or whatever it is, but to just simply come from NXT and be given a title shot within the first month or something, to me, I think that's damage. What do you think?
I don't know if it's because I'm drunk or if it's the way you phrased the question, but I don't know what the actual question was there. You seem to give more of a statement to the last second. Not everyone's coming to the main roster getting a title shot within a month. So, did you want to rephrase the question to, do I think that they're bringing the talent over too soon? Or do
Sure.
Okay. I believe that they initially did when they brought over Apollo Crews and that whole run of wrestlers. Bayley wasn't ready. I think the only time you should bring these talents over, not simply because it's the day after WrestleMania, do it throughout the year. But do it when you have a valid storyline in place for these guys. Don't bring over someone like Shinsuke Nakamura just because he's a big name, just because he's 37, 38 years old, to give him a title run. Bring him over because you have AJ Styles lined up, you have Samoa Joe lined up, and a potential program for these guys. Because if not, then you see stuff like Apollo Crews, where he is kind of in the background with no direction. And they're left trying to put them with, odds and ends to see what works. They're kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And like I said on the previous shows, I don't see any harm of taking talent like Dolph Ziggler or Cesaro and bringing them back to NXT to help get these people over. You don't have to keep them there as a permanent staple, but bring them over. Make it so that it feels like the NXT is a place to be, not a developmental. I mean, when you got main talent, John Cena did it in the very beginning. They brought main talent over there to get these guys over. And it just makes it feel like it's a giant network, a giant family. But that's just my take. I think it's damage.
That was my thoughts also, the same exact on that one. It's also like before they did the draft, instead of like coming up with a new championship, the Raw Universal Championship, I thought it might be better if they just had one championship and the champ goes back and forth between both shows like it used to be in the old territory days. But I know obviously they didn't take that route, but you think that would have worked if they just kept it to one main champion? Still had the Intercontinental in the United States, but just one championship for both shows.
Is this the loose can that's not attached to the 6-pack? Is this like the 7th beer type thing?
This is the one that was in the back of the fridge.
What are those called? Like the loose ends or the stragglers?
Yeah.
This is like you got a 6-pack of like Amstel Light or something, and you've got like a Coors in the very, very back of the fridge that's got a little bit of frostbite on it, but you're like, fuck it, it's beer, I'll drink it.
Right, exactly.
I think having the titles split like that was actually for the better, simply because they're going to have Night of Champions coming up. I think it's in like November, somewhere around that time. So, I mean, it makes for a larger show. It makes for a more entertaining show. But at the same time, none of these titles seem to really matter at this point. The only one that's legitimate, or they're pushing to be legitimate, is the one that they're keeping away from everybody. So it's lost its credibility on my end. What about you?
This has nothing to do with this. It's just something that they used to do in the old NWA days. Okay, obviously there's like other titles other than the Universal title. Other than the main one, there's Intercontinental, there's United States. Do you think there should be another title for tag teams?
No, and I think that because I feel like WWE should go to that whole instead of doing an actual draft, they should have trade deadlines and stuff throughout the year, like Joe was saying in the NFL, where you can actually negotiate contracts and whatnot to get a specific wrestler. and I think it would be like a superstar shakeup, but it's more sporadic and throughout the year. They already have 2 tag titles. What more do you want?
Make it okay. Like in the NWA days, they had the world title and they had the national title for tag team. I always thought it was cool because it was like, okay, well, these guys are the top guys. These guys are in second place. And when they go against each other, it gets interesting. But you also have more. I mean, yeah, they do have it because they have 2 separate shows.
The problem that you run in there, though, is if you think back, NWA actually had talent on their rosters. You've got so many sports entertainers now that are not really wrestlers that are holding belts. So you bring in another title, you're just going to have to slap this on somebody at random that really doesn't deserve it. And then you're just circulating 3 belts that really hold no value. And you got to remember that they got the UK title that's going to be making its way in at some point. So you got the Cruiserweight, the UK title, and they're going to have a women's division, I'm sure, on the WWE Network. We've got about, 8 titles now that will be floating around? I think adding more is just ridiculous. Go for it.
I guess to have a national title or secondary tag team title, it'd probably be beneficial if it was between both shows, not just one for each one, because that would be too many.
You actually gave me a great idea. You know what they should? They should have a national tag team title, and what I mean by this is you can take any tag team from anywhere in the WWE Universe. It can be Raw, SmackDown, NXT, UK, or even Cruiserweight. And anybody from any show can go for this title. And whoever holds this title gets to float in between the shows. That would make it interesting. It gives you a little bit of a superstar shakeup at the same time.
That's kind of like what I was talking about as far as having one champion, between both shows. But
yeah.
I guess that's it for the Savvo six pack.
And we're gonna have to head over to Costco next week and pick up a lot more. Maybe we hit a Savvo 12 pack and finish off a whole case.
Yeah, let's do it.
Move it up to a Savvo flat, maybe if we're lucky. A Savvo keg.
Sounds good.
But this has been a good show. And as usual, it's me, STUBB. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty minute himself, Stubby.
And Savvo signing off.
And as always,
enjoy your pay-per-view viewings. Thanks for listening.
And depending on how the pay-per-views go, whether or not it's worthy, you can probably expect to see Savvo and I doing a results show. Maybe Sunday night, or at some point during the week. But also make sure you check out our affiliates, the Wetback and Crack a Power Hour. You can find them at the Wetback and Crack. Wee woo, wee woo. Redo that one. You can check them out on Twitter at the Wetback and Crack a Power Hour. You can find them on Facebook, Spreaker, Instagram, and pretty much every media outlet out there. Also, check out our friend Todd Smith and Dale Clifford at the No Gimmicks Podcast. You can find them at facebook.com/No Gimmicks Podcast, or you can find them at youtube.com/No Gimmicks Podcast. And for us, as always, wrestling is real. People are fake. Stubby out.
Savvo out.